zero, group 3, 0, 2, 7, 4, 0, 4, 2, 7, 4, 0, 4, 9, 9, 4, 6, 0, 9, 9, 4, 6, 0, 0, 1, 8, 1, 5, 0, 1, 8, 1, 5, 2, 9, 0, 0, 6, 2, 9, 0, 0, 6, 8, 2, 8, 7, 0, 8, 2, 8, 7, 0, 9, 8, 6, 8, 0, 9, 8, 6, 8, 0.
I wish I would have met you. Now it's a little late. What you could have taught me, I could have saved some face. They think that your early ending was all wrong.
Welcome to the Insomnia stream. I'm your host, of course, Devin Stack. This is the reward loop edition. I'm afraid I'm still going to have to be riding on that cough button. Whatever this was, it's not giving up. It's not giving up. But it's better. I don't cough unless I talk, which is great for when I stream. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey. Anyway, the voice is a little bit better. But yeah. Fun. Good old airport cancer. All right. So anyway, obviously today in the news, we have a new winner, folks. We have a new winner. A new winner of the escalation reward loop. This guy, TJ Sabula, who apparently was a worker at a Ford plant that Trump visited. And while Trump was there, he flipped off Trump and said something to the effect of, you're a pedophile protector. You're a pedophile protector. Which he kind of is. Kind of hard to... I don't know this guy's politics. I suspect they don't align with mine. I suspect that very strongly, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. He was, I guess, disciplined. And what has been happening now with increasing frequency in our country, a GoFundMe was started, and he's already raised about $500,000. However, they have suspended it for now, at least prior to going live. That was the last time I checked it. They had paused the donations. I'm not exactly sure what that means, if he'll get the money or not. If the Trump administration is playing hardball with GoFundMe, who knows? They seem to be playing hardball with a lot of people these days. So who knows exactly, especially anytime it involves Trump's ego. So who knows what will happen exactly. But it just got me thinking, because now this is kind of normal. It's kind of a normal thing that something happens, something on the internet happens, well, in real life, but it ends up on the internet, right? And then it's polarizing, because that's what happens in a country that's rapidly approaching some kind of conflict. You have these polar opposite sides. No possible way to reconcile the two sides. And so as they split apart further and further, more often than not, there's going to, literally anything that makes the news, there's going to be at least two completely different versions of reality, because that's where we're at. That's where we're at. And if there is the opportunity, if there's an opportunity for there to be a star of the event, someone that's going to get their 15 minutes of fame and apparently $500,000, I know it's a perfect time for the $500,000 button thing. My buttons are still not fixed. When I'm gonna try to get everything all straightened out this week. I've been doing a lot of shit. And, and just the last couple days, I've been sleeping a lot to be hoping this would go away. Anyway, so these events just keep happening with regularity now. I mean, in fact, even with, Renee Good, they raised, a bunch of money for her lesbian wife and, dog and whatever else, I don't know how much money they raised. Last time I checked, it was 6 figures too. In fact, let's take a look. Let's see where they're at. It might have been rapidly approaching 1 million. Let's see here. Okay. GoFundMe. Yeah, well, it has raised $1.5 million. So Renee Good has raised $1.5 million from over 38,000 donors. Probably some of those are people who fancy themselves right wingers, at least based on the rhetoric I've been hearing the last week from all these people simping for a psychotic lesbian. But there we are. There we are. But I started thinking, I was like, this is like, it's a relatively new thing. I mean, maybe because of the technology. But it's not like this happened, like in the 90s, for example, there wasn't like some big polarizing event and then all of a sudden someone has $1 million in their bank account. Like where did this start exactly? And I don't know when it 100% started, but one of the major events like this, it was actually the George Zimmerman case. George Zimmerman with Trayvon Martin. He set up a website and this is before GoFundMe might have even existed. He set up a website to help with his legal fees. And this was kind of the beginning of this kind of a cycle that we see over and over and over again, where you had an event, you had the two polar opposite sides look at the exact same event and have two completely different reads on reality. By the way, this is no country can exist for very long like this. It's not possible. It's just simply not possible. You can't have indefinitely two sets of realities existing in the same place. It doesn't last very long. There's this thing called entropy, which, by the way, there's a website called Entropy too. They can send super chats, but there's a thing called entropy where things inevitably fly apart, essentially. And that's I think that's where we're headed. But anyway, this was one of the first times something like this had happened. You had a news report. First of all the reporting was fake and gay. They reported that George Zimmerman was a white person. He had a Jewish last name, or I guess you could say maybe German, because he was adopted, but he's Hispanic. I forget exactly what kind of Mexican he is, but he's some kind of Mexican, right? And CNN famously lightened up his photo when they showed his mugshot on TV, and they turned it into this big race thing that he was this psychotic white supremacist that went out and just shot some teenage kid for walking in his neighborhood. Now, we're not going to relitigate all that. Obviously, that was bullshit. Trayvon Martin was an animal that was put down, just as justifiably as the stupid lesbian the other day. Well, because of this polarization, it really struck a chord with a lot of people who were kind of getting fed up. And you might even say, in some ways, this was the early stages of nigger fatigue, where people were starting to especially, you had Obama as president. A lot of people, I think that really that was a wake-up call to a lot of white people in America. There were always these candidates like Jesse Jackson that would run for president and never stood a fucking chance. And there were always, these black leaders that you'd have to listen to on news shows. But I don't think it really occurred to a lot of white people that there would ever be an actual black president until it happened. And I think that really was probably the first step of like the racial awakening that we are now hopefully in the middle of, or hopefully it speeds up a little more, but at least it's begun, right? It has begun. White people are more racially aware today than they have been my entire lifetime. And I think that the first step in that direction was this idea that, well, if we just elect a black guy, finally they'll shut the fuck up. Like there was a certain amount of white people that were under the impression that like, well, whatever, fuck it, we'll let a black guy go be president. How bad could it be? And then black people. I had a roommate tell me this. He was like, well, the black people will finally see that there's nothing holding them back. They can be president if they want to, and they'll finally shut the fuck up. Well, then you quickly realize, no, they got actually more annoying and more oppressed somehow that they had a black president. And so you kind of had already a few years of this. You had Obama, in fact, say that Trayvon Martin could have been his son. And just everyone doubling down on this obvious justified homicide, right? And so he raised $200,000 through a website he set up using PayPal. Now, because again, the tactics have never changed. What has changed is the internet, really. And so when he was using PayPal to collect money for his legal defense, and the leftists went to PayPal and said, oh, you're doing this, he's a murderer, you can't allow him, they tried to cancel him. They tried to get rid of the service. And shockingly, because this was, like I said, the internet has changed dramatically since then. PayPal said, "Look, we don't, we just process payments. We're not taking a side here, or whatever." And of course, that would later on evolve and change as these sorts of fundraising efforts would continue. So I went through and I was trying to find other cases and anything that was over like 50 grand. And, sure enough, there was tons of, and on the left and the right, this kind of thing was happening more and more and more. Especially during, once Trump was in office. And you had, prior to that, you had the police officers, because of the success that Trayvon Martin or Zimmerman had. You had the police officers that were charged with the killing of, let's see here. This is what made them change. GoFundMe changed their policy over this. But the police officers charged in the Freddie Gray death. Oh yes, it's hard to keep track of all these, right? It's hard to keep track of all these black people being black and getting shot because they're being black, and they can't just fucking exist in a civilized society, and so, that's the cops' fault. There were plenty of George Floyds before George Floyd. This is something that'll never go away. It'll literally never stop until we get rid of black people. And so that's the cost. That's one of the costs of having black people in your society, is they are going to act like black people. And sometimes that leads to getting shot by cops. And then they burn down cities and chimp out until I don't know, Bank of America gives them a few $100 million or something like that. But you had them go to use their service, and this time GoFundMe did actually shut down the fundraisers. And this was back in 2015. So I guess right before Trump. You had a similar flip-off incident, a lot of people have probably forgotten about, when Trump was president the first time. There was a woman who just flipped off the motorcade as it drove by. Crazy lefty. I think she worked in the federal government. She got fired and got $100,000 from a GoFundMe that was started for her. You also had McCabe. Remember Andrew McCabe? Remember when the first Trump administration was going to drain the swamp and that they never did? Well, Andrew McCabe raised $500,000 for his legal defense when all that was going on. In fact, a lot of these people did. There's Andrew McCabe there. Peter Strzok, I think, got $500,000. And so this was just a way that increasingly, you had these events. It was like rapid fire for a while. People going to GoFundMe, starting GoFundMes instantly. Someone's got $500,000. And then of course you had the Kyle Rittenhouse fundraiser got shut down. And that's when you start having these alternatives pop up, like Give, Send, Go is, I think, the one that Kyle Rittenhouse went with, right? Eventually. GoFundMe this one was pretty crazy. You might have forgotten this one already. The Freedom Truck Rally thing in Canada. They raised close to $10 million. $10 million fucking dollars. And then they shut it down and locked the funds. And I don't think any of that money actually ever got to anybody. Let me see. I had the story up here a minute ago. Let me see if there's an update on that. Here we are. Now this is an older article. I don't know if they might, excuse me, I don't have the update here. Here we go. The fundraising website GoFundMe has taken down a page accepting donations in support of truck drivers protesting against vaccine mandates in Canada, adding that it would refund all donations. So they refunded everything. The Freedom Convoy 2022 began as a movement against a Canadian vaccine requirement for cross-border truckers, but has turned into a rallying point against public health measures in Canada. It has also gained increasing support among Republicans, including Donald Trump. Some U.S. Republicans vowed to investigate GoFundMe's move, which they obviously never really did. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, of course, said on Saturday it was fraud for GoFundMe to commandeer $9 million $9 million. That's a lot of fucking money in donations sent to the convoy in support of the truck drivers, and said he would work on his state's Attorney General Ashley Moody to investigate. These donors should be given a refund. I mean, I think they refunded the donors, but that money didn't get anywhere. So that's pretty crazy. $9 million, not really going to where it was supposed to go. You also had Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny's the guy that took down the crazy nigger on the subway, and he got about $3 million, I think, in crowd raised funds. I think that was Give, Send, Go, most likely. You also had GoFundMe actually did shut down a lefty one finally, because it was for Luigi Mangione, or Mangione, or I don't know, whatever spaghetti nig pronunciation is appropriate there. Because at that point, it's starting to basically reward murder, and not like in a cop, law enforcement kind of activities, kind of a thing, but like just straight up assassination. Now, this is kind of what I predicted a long time ago, in Day of the Rope. I kind of saw this coming back then when I wrote that book as the future of vigilantism. That the only thing preventing this from actually working in this way is the infrastructure for it doesn't exist yet, but that it probably will in some form, probably using crypto. Now, the make believe thing that I came up with, I was pretty loosey goosey with the details because I don't know enough about the technology, but the basic idea was you would have some kind of blockchain that would be able to understand whether or not a particular contract, just as an example. Again, this is all fictional. Those who've read the book, but the idea is, let's say there's a very unpopular person that is not facing justice for some reason. Well, rather than do what was done here with GoFundMe, where you just wait around for someone to mind read what should be done and them doing it and then post hoc rewarding them, rather it was a proactive system where basically you crowdfund vigilante actions prior to them being performed. And that once performed, the person who performed them, if they could prove in some way that they had done that, the funds would then be released to them. So in a weird way, it was kind of like, well, in the fictional book, by the way, fictional, not real life, not a suggestion, but in the fictional book, it was crowdsourcing assassinations in some instances. So that you weren't just hoping that someone would do the thing that you wanted and then throw money at them after they did, but that you could actually create the incentive beforehand and basically crowdsource your it's what some might describe as terrorism. But you know what I mean? Like that's kind of like what I describe in the book, because I think in some ways, once that technology exists for that, that's kind of what will happen. And it's because of what you're seeing now, where, I mean, why do you, for example, why do you think this sort of stuff happens now? Where you get people like Shiloh Hendricks, who, basically just stands up to some third world maggot in our country trying to ruin her life. She calls him a nigger, and then she gets rich. Or on the other side of the fence, you have the black people who hate white people. And so as soon as one of their people kills an innocent white person, they throw money at him. That his family blows all on stupid shit like sneakers, probably. And right now, in fact, and this is interesting, the ICE agent who shot Renee Good, who again, like I've said before, is no hero to me. He's got a Filipino wife who my understanding is, at least, he's chain migrating her family over here. So he's kind of, he's no winner for me. But weirdly, again, last time I checked, at least, GoFundMe still has not taken down his campaign. Now, that might be because, like I said, I think it could be because they're afraid of the Trump administration. And, but who knows? Who knows exactly? Now, one of the things that, like I said, though, one of the reasons why I was starting to think like this years ago, that this sort of thing would evolve into a proactive way for the public to get what they want, is because increasingly, as we're seeing with the Trump administration right now, people are starting to realize that their their vote does not seem to matter. That they vote for the guy and they pay not just the social price of supporting this person publicly. This creates problems with people at work, within their families, but also there's real world consequences to this person being president. And like for example, possibly throwing us in a war with Iran, creating all these anti-Semitism laws, or at least the groundwork for a lot of that stuff that is likely to evolve. And so you have a lot of people who supported Trump, who are unhappy with the whole. This is like the second time now that they've been burned by this guy. They can't imagine there being a more extreme candidate. I mean, this was to the left, at least. This was like electing Hitler. And so at a certain point, people are going to start to feel like the political process is not delivering results. And in a manner of speaking, that's kind of what explains these campaigns. Because these campaigns only exist in response to what they perceive as something unfair that's happening within the system. And that's both sides. So whether it's, the guy flipping off Trump, getting in trouble at work, and so people feel like, well, that's unfair. I don't trust the system to treat this guy the way that he should be treated, and so I'm going to throw money at this. And now, next thing you know, he's got, $500,000. Same thing with Kyle Rittenhouse. Kyle Rittenhouse, if you lived in a country, the people that donated to Kyle Rittenhouse's fund, if they lived in a country where they suspected that he would actually get a fair shake, that they would look at this situation and view it the same way they do, there would be no need for this kind of crowdfunding, because you wouldn't have the situation that we do have, where an event happens and both sides look at it and there's two completely different versions of reality. And because of that, necessarily, you have to basically with money try to overcome the fact that you have an enemy that's working against you. So it's people that are basically just, they're funding a proxy war. Every time one of these events happen and they get behind one of these characters, they're essentially funding a proxy war. So naturally, the next step is, if you think about just geopolitically, what the United States has done in terms of supporting, terrorists around the world that are enemies of, regimes that they want to topple. So they'll support straight up terrorists because the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? Well, eventually that evolved into, well, why should we just support terrorists? That we don't, they could totally backfire, well, and does often backfires on us. Why do that when we can just make the terrorists? Like, we could just create, which also ends up backfiring on the United States all the time too. But yeah, at least then they feel like they have some kind of control over the direction that it goes into. And I don't think the technology exists. But I think the second that the technology does exist, the next evolution of this kind of proxy war shit that you're seeing between the two sides, because it's very low investment. It's perfectly tailor made for the lazy, do nothing Americans. I mean, in a way, it's kind of gamifying it. It's almost like an in-app purchase. Like it really is. If you think of it that way, it's like a political war or a civil war in-app purchase, right? You pay like it's like when they release a new video game. And if you just pay for the game, like you have to sit there and fucking play it for 8 hours before you unlock like the guns that actually matter. Or you could just pay like another $30 and then you have like all the guns and, whatever, right? And that's already how they think about this stuff, They already think of like freemium games, right? Like remember Candy Crush, like, oh, it's literally impossible to pass this level. But if you pay, $3 or whatever, then you'll get like these little unlocks that let you pass the level. And so people already kind of think this way. And in a way, this crowdsourcing, even the way that it is now, where it's retroactive, it's like buying those extra skins. It's like buying the unlocks. It's just an in-app purchase. It's DLC. And so that's how it is now retroactively. Once the technology exists to make it anonymous, because obviously it would have to be, because if it wasn't anonymous, then you would be on the hook for whatever you're funding, right? At that point, it becomes like conspiracy. Like that's like that's like treason, big dick charges you're going to be getting. So they'd have to have some very, very secure, decentralized, anonymous way of funding this kind of thing. And also, in order for it to actually get done, you'd have the same thing. You'd have to have some very anonymous, secure way that you're actually getting paid if you're the free agent, we'll just say, that's working for the cause. You're the mercenary in a way. But I kind of feel like, at a certain point, unless everything else, if everything else goes off the rails before that, we'll never even get to that point. But at least with our current trajectory, that's kind of where we're headed. And it's pretty easy to see because, like, when you see things like the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, for example, he received, I don't know what it was exactly, but I think it was in the millions. And then you look at, like I said, Andrew McCabe, who gets $500,000. It's basically, not only is it downloading DLC and trying to promote things, with your money. It's also, in a way, it's giving people an opportunity to make them feel like they're sacrificing something. Like they've got some skin in the game. It's always like people don't appreciate, like it could be the same thing. But if it's free versus even if you just charge $1 for it, they'll actually value it more than if you charge $1 for, I don't know, some kind of, something that you would normally give away free. I don't know, like, like, okay, like, the mini bar in a hotel. By charging for the items in the mini bar, it actually makes people like them more. Like they might complain they have to pay for the stuff in the mini bar, but they actually appreciate it more. They actually value it more. They maybe not appreciate it. They value it more. So they'll feel like they're participating in some meaningful way, and they'll actually value the movement. They'll be, actually invested into it. That just makes sense. I mean, that's why, for example, traditionally, people want, I think in some way psychologically, that's why women want you to spend a lot of money on their fucking, wedding ring, for example, because it's showing that you're willing to put that kind of money into it, you're putting like your money where your mouth is, essentially. Anyway. But it's also, it signifies, like, again, like I said, the only reason why people are having to do this in the first place is because they don't think that the system itself is capable of solving the problems anymore. When when you start looking at crowdsourcing for legal battles or personal causes, it doesn't have to be a legal battle. In the case of, I mean, I think Shiloh Hendricks might eventually, I don't know what the current status is. She might face some kind of charge or something at some point. But that wasn't even really what it was about. When people were saying her money, it wasn't even about, trying to defend her in any kind of legal sense. It was more just like, here you go. You said what everyone else was thinking. You had the balls to actually just say it and not give a fuck. And so that's why I'm sending you money, right? And I think that's you only get to that place when you're so frustrated with the way things are that you feel like there's such an injustice in the status quo that's the only thing that's going to drive money out of your pocket and into the pocket of someone else who simply just said, "Fuck you, nigger," or whatever it was she said, right? And I think that more and more people are funding these causes as a form of vigilante justice or of resistance or bypassing the official channels. And this kind of activity is this precisely the kind of activity you see, prior to actual civil wars. When in fact, I mean, if you want a real, like an analog, you could say, I was looking up for examples of this, and one example that came up, and I'm not like a big, I don't know much about Spanish history, but one of the examples given was Spain before 1936. Distrust in centralized authority led to grassroots funding of militias, and that's the kind of thing that you would probably see in 1936 before the internet, is people actually funding militias. But as technology has made crowdsourcing even much easier, I think this is the way it's manifesting right now. But anyway, it also you have a almost like it's like almost like paying for like a membership for your side. Like, it makes people really dig in. It's like not only do people appreciate things more when they pay money for it, but it also it does make it is going to make people more polarized, because in a sense they're kind of paying a membership fee for it. And so I think you've kind of got that effect going on, and again, I think it'll probably evolve into something crazier once the second the technology exists for it. Anyway, so I just thought that was interesting. I saw this going on. I just like, man, it seems like every week we have, and it wasn't like that before. But every week now it seems like, oh, there's this GoFundMe now. And now someone's got half million fucking dollars. It makes you wonder where all this money is coming from too. That's a lot of money. Some of these campaigns, they make a lot of fucking money. Also in the news today was, oh my God, infinite pause or indefinite pause. Trump halts visas from Russia, Brazil, Egypt, Thailand, and 71 other countries in a massive immigration crackdown. And there's a lot of people talking about how this is, I think what the talking point was, he has effectively created or stopped legal immigration. Well, except for very notably missing from that list of countries that he stopped this immigration without a visa, missing was India and China. the two countries where it actually fucking matters. So the people are still flowing. Also, I found this story. Now, this is actually a story about a leftist, but as you know, people are more and more worried that the kind of fascism that we're going to see first in America is going to be quite literally Jewish fascism. And that is actually, the kind of thing that you're seeing already in Australia, where they're cracking down on the Joel Davis and Thomas Sowells of the world, and trying to make it illegal to participate in their political activities. And obviously we've got that sort of stuff already going on in the UK and in Europe, where you can go to jail simply by making a tweet or whatever. And we've sort of had the beginning stages of that in America, where if you were not, well, actually, I think some of these people were citizens, right? The people that they were deporting, but or maybe they were all here on student visas. I don't know if any of them ended up being citizens, but deporting people for anti-Semitism essentially, and people getting worried that where is that going to lead? Well, we have our first case that, at least that I'm aware of now, of cops sent by a Jewish mayor to harass someone. And I think the mayor is Republican. Let me look here. Here's the news story. Essentially, again, this woman's not on our side at all. She's a leftist. But she posted on Facebook a pretty tame post, essentially just, complaining about the mayor. And the mayor sent police to her house. So the same kind of thing that we see in the UK, and we're like, ha, that would never happen here. It's apparently it's happening here now.
Then, a Miami Beach woman says she is outraged after police showed up at her door. They had questions for former political candidate Raquel Pacheco. They were asking about a Facebook post that she made criticizing Miami Beach's mayor. CBS News Miami's Abby Dodge is your reporter in Miami Beach tonight. Abby, what was in this post that prompted officers to show up and knock on her door like that?
Well, Raquel Pacheco wrote a critical comment about the mayor after he posted a photo saying that the city was welcoming to everyone. She didn't expect then that her comment would lead to a police investigation.
Am I being charged with the crime? Okay, so you're here to investigate a statement that I allegedly made on Facebook.
Raquel Pacheco, a former candidate for Miami Beach City Commission and Florida Senate, started recording when officers showed up at her door Monday. She says she's still emotionally distraught about what happened next.
My overwhelming feeling was that freedom of speech as I know it died at my front step yesterday. And that was just such an incredibly sad. It still makes me sad. It's an incredibly, incredibly sad thing.
Is that your account?
I refuse to answer questions without my lawyer present.
Officers then read Pacheco's Facebook comment. She says in part, the guy who consistently calls for the death of Palestinians tried to shut down a theater for showing a movie that hurt his feelings and refuses to stand up for the LGBTQ community in any way. Officers then explained why they came to her door.
We're just trying to prevent somebody else getting agitated or agreeing with the statement. We're not saying it's true or not.
Anyone who reads that statement, I don't know how you can take that as an incitement to violence of any type.
I called the mayor's communications staff multiple times and stopped by City Hall. The mayor's office did not provide anyone to speak with me and said the mayor was not in the building. Pacheco has hired a lawyer, and together they made public information requests. She says she wants to know what led up to the officers at her door.
We're traveling down a very, very slippery road here, and my goal here is not just to make it stop for me, obviously, but it's...
So anyway, she's a stupid leftist. She's not even American. She shouldn't even be here. Neither should the mayor. His name's Stephen Miner. Miner? I hardly know her. No, Stephen Miner, who's actually a Jew from New York and Republican, mayor of Miami Beach. And he gets made fun of on Facebook about supporting genocide in Gaza, and they send the cops out to her. and she was a mayoral candidate at some point. So she's not even just like some random bitch. So this is the kind of thing I think that we're going to also see more of. We're going to see more of Jews flexing as often as they possibly can, and testing the waters. And maybe this was even a calculated move. Maybe because she is a lefty, because she's brown, because she's into the fag shit, that you're not going to have a whole lot of sympathy as someone on the right hearing about her getting harassed by the by the Jew mayor. And this is the kind of person that, like, again, people will celebrate that. Oh, look, they're giving her the business. They're giving her the business. When eventually that will expand to include people like us. So I haven't seen anyone really talk about this. It's not a huge deal, but it's not a good sign. It's not a good sign when we start to look like those fucking Muppets in the UK when they send the cops out to people. All right. Now, another thing I want to cover, and I actually haven't even watched this yet because I didn't have time to watch this. So we're going to watch this together. But it was in my list of things to watch simply because I was real interested in this story and I hadn't seen the actual footage of it yet. But back in 2023, I believe we'll find out how right I am about this. From what I understand, casinos are already using AI to identify people. And if, for example, it's kind of like that stream we did where we talk about the Walmart license plate reader cameras and how even if you drive to Walmart and pay in cash, it knows by the way you're walking, and it does like facial recognition, it knows who you are, and it doesn't matter that you didn't use a card. It can even tell by, if your phone pings like their Wi-Fi hotspot or whatever, like there's all these data points they can use to identify who you are. And obviously, if Walmart's using that kind of technology, casinos have been using it for a lot longer. Now, with this particular case, a casino, and again, we'll find out how right I am about this. From what I understand, a casino, is using facial recognition AI software, and they had trespassed someone in the past. In other words, they had kicked someone off of the property. That doesn't necessarily mean that they did anything wrong. By the way, a lot of the casinos, if you are winning too much, will kick you out of the casino and ban you from the casino, and you have been officially trespassed, which means you're not allowed to re-enter that casino. Even if the only reason why they did that was because you were winning too much. It happens all the time, actually. And so anyway, their AI software thought that someone they had trespassed before had gone back onto their property. And so it alerted the AI alerted the authorities, and the authorities went down and arrested the guy who the AI said that it was. And turns out, at least, again, we'll watch this together. Turns out it wasn't that guy. So the cops, just because AI told them to, went to some guy's, I think his work, and or maybe it was his house. We'll find out here in a second. They just arrested some random dude that wasn't at the casino at all because AI told them to. And increasingly, I think this is the kind of shit that we're going to be seeing.
2023, the Peppermill Casino calls the Reno Police Department to report that a trespasser has unlawfully returned to the casino. They report that they have the man in custody, but he's claiming to go by an entirely different name than the man they've previously trespassed. Officer Richard Jagger arrives at the casino at 5:48 a.m.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
How you doing? Oh, thank God you're here.
the man declaring his
Okay, I guess I was wrong. So they had trespassed someone before, and then this guy just goes to the casino, and the security ties him up. Which I don't know how that. Apparently, they're allowed to do this. Casino security, they seem to have a lot more leeway than I feel like they should. But they detain him, which again I don't know how that's legal. They detain him until the cops show up. And he's just like, what the fuck, guys? I just came here.
His relief at the sight of the officer is 40-year-old Jason Killinger, who is accused of trespassing at the Peppermill Casino.
So what's going on?
So we got this disciplinary alert, prior trespasser.
Okay.
And, we made contact and arrested him, and he claimed that wasn't him. And so we're just trying to get you guys to make a phone call if it's with him or not.
So what's the issue, you guys? Did he have a different driver's license or a secondary one, or has he got more property than just this one?
Just those effects right there, and that's it.
1 second, pal.
But no other forms of identification. Things in his pocket.
You guys ran this information through our dispatch?
Through your guys' dispatch? No. We ran through ours, comes back as that being who he says he is on his ID, but that's what we went off right there.
Yeah, and this is one of those things, you guys have this fancy software that does all this stuff, so it's like...
Officer, what's your name?
1 second, man.
A few months earlier, a man named Michael had been trespassed from the casino for sleeping on the premises.
All right, man. So this is who you are?
Yes. What, your Miss Jagger is your first name or last name?
Last name.
All right, Mr. Jagger. Yes, that is who I am. I drive the semis for UPS. I am not Mike. I don't know nothing about Mike. I'm a craps player here. Look, there's my socks for UPS. Can you please, you got a gun here. Will you please take me out of these cuffs? My shoulders are killing me.
You're going to sit there for a minute, man. So, when he gave you this information, did you guys verify it against an ID, or how does that work?
So, in that report there's an ID on there as well, and we can show you that one.
Okay.
Jason, a long combination vehicle driver, had been playing craps until about 3 a.m. when he decided to leave the Peppermill and go to the Atlantis Casino. On his way out, he stopped at a blackjack machine and started playing. There, he was approached by a security guard who addressed him as Mike. When Jason clarified that he was not Mike and presented the guard with his driver's license, the guard apologized and walked away. However, as Jason attempted to leave, he was surrounded by security guards and handcuffed. He was told that he was under arrest for trespassing.
Because the AI said that... Mike! That makes it even funnier. It's Mike! What's going on, Mike? So because this is what it's going to be like, though, not just with law enforcement. This is what it's going to be like for everything. Because you're importing all these people. That's the whole idea, right? Okay, well, maybe they're not as competent as the heritage Americans. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get all these Indians and Chinese people, and we'll augment them with AI. And with AI, they'll be competent enough to do the things that the white people used to do.
I just need a break. My shoulder's killing me.
So that's the ID that he presented. Oh, B.
Look at the nose.
Yeah. Huh. Weird. Very weird. Let me snap a picture of that. I'll run both names.
The casino's AI facial recognition software positively identified Jason as Michael, the man they had trespassed.
Let me step out this way I get better reception.
Yeah. The only thing that was weird is that we'll have to, lift him up and see how tall he is.
Yeah.
Is it? Because that says he's 5'9", and that says 6'1".
Yeah.
This isn't the only difference between Michael and Jason's IDs. Jason is listed as 7 years younger than Michael and says that he weighs 50 pounds more. As well, the signatures are different. In his report, Officer Jagger wrote, quote, "The associated demographics on each driver's license were fairly similar, with the only major distinction being hazel and blue eyes, which are by their very nature similar eye colors and are dependent upon lighting."
And the pictures...
The AI says that you're, this is who you are. This has to be who you are.
Are very, I mean, the nose.
Right, and then we have our new system, our new facial recognition system, and that's what it's telling us. Is it's telling us that it's looking at it, and it's doing that. And then there was another one that came up when he was at our TRK, which is one of our better cameras. This was right before we arrested him. We looked at it and said, "That's him," and it came up.
100%. Okay.
100%.
Oh, it's 100%, guys. You have to be him because the AI says.
So the software's saying it, that it's legit.
Right. And it's
so he
pretty damn accurate.
So either he presented a fake identification the first time, or he's presenting it now.
Right.
Even if he had a twin, it wouldn't be 100%
Right.
on the facial, right?
I wouldn't think so, but I don't know because they say twin.
Actually, it would if it's an identical twin. You dumb fuck.
Twins share DNA, right?
But
I guess it depends upon if they're identical.
I've seen identical twins where it's like moms can tell them apart.
Right.
So
the other thing that kind of made us feel suspicious, or us managers, was right after our officers made contact and they saw the ID that he's presenting today, and they're like, okay, it's not the same guy. He immediately gets up and starts cashing out, like running for the door. I'm like, okay, if it really wasn't him, why is he running for the door?
Why is he getting ready to leave?
Because you're fucking harassing him. I'd fucking leave too if I kept having all these security guards keep hassling me. I'd be like, all right, I'm out of here.
Jason would later explain that earlier that night he'd played at the Legends Bay Casino, the Nugget Casino, and the El Dorado Casino before arriving at the Peppermill around 11:30 p.m. He claimed that each time he was up $200, he would move on to a new casino, and just before his arrest, he had made $200. He also estimated that prior to the 16th, he had gambled hundreds of times at the Peppermill without incident. After speaking with the Peppermill employee, Officer Jagger calls to check the police records.
What's going on? I have a precarious situation. I'm trying to positively identify somebody who may have or may be using a fake ID. So I've got 2 names, 2 Nevada driver's license numbers and all that. If there's a chance I could have you run both and see if any of them come back and maybe send me pictures in an email of what their IDs come back as?
Yep.
Huh. That is super weird. Do you see resemblance in those?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
But yeah, they're the 83, 78, yeah.
That's super weird.
Totally
So I have a
weird,
feeling
man. Cops are not the smartest people on earth. So yeah, they let's hear. Blah blah blah. This goes on for a while, where the cops just like, I don't know, must be. Well, that's solved. Let's see what. Let's see where.
He's got 2 different driver's licenses that are registered with the Department of Motor Vehicles, with different names and dates of birth. So I guess I'll arrest him on that, and then
there you go. That must be what happened, right? That must be. It can't possibly be the AI's wrong. The AI's never wrong.
Just list him as a John Doe, and then have him booked in for a wins check. Alrighty, well that solves that. So you guys got a complaint?
Yeah, well, we had filled out for you.
And then
we got the statement and all that good stuff.
Statement already done. Easy peasy. So right now, because I can't identify you, man, it's weird. Because essentially it looks like you have 2 names. I don't know, man. So I can't identify you. Unfortunately, that means that they can't cite you.
Officer Jagger collects Jason's things, which includes his driver's license, a Peppermill player's card in the name Jason Killinger, and a debit card from his credit union in the name of Jason Killinger.
If you can't be cited, then you are arrested. So
I'm arrested?
Yep, I'm going
to jail?
Yep.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not a joker, man. So you'll be arrested and you'll get fingerprinted up at the jail, and then they'll be able to discern your identity and what the mix-up is with this stuff. I'll be 100% honest. Could legitimately be you have a doppelganger running around, but they are strikingly similar. And enough, their fancy AI technology that reads faces. No, it says it's a 100% match. But at this point, our hands are tied because
the computer says. So that's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to be. Well, the computer says this. The computer says this, so we're just fucked. Sorry, guys.
A reasonable and prudent person would, based off the software, based off the pictures, based off of even your driver's license picture, make the reasonable conclusion that all three are the same person, just two different IDs with two different names.
Can you look at the back of the IDs? Because I have all the endorsements except for motorcycle and hazmat.
Okay.
Other than that, I got all the endorsements.
But that's the thing is
his a CDL?
So that's the thing is either someone else is using your stuff or you're using somebody else's stuff. And unfortunately, you look too much like the guy in that picture, so much so that the fancy computer that does all the face scanning of everybody who walks in this casino makes the same determination that my feeble human brain does. So,
Oh, the feeble human brain. Wow. So I wonder if this guy got a lawsuit out of it. Let's see here.
I can't believe I've been arrested. I've never been arrested. Never. Not once. What the good is the ID then? Why do I even carry that mother? That one young security guard, man, like a robot. That's what pisses me off, is because they don't think, you know. It's like, well, this is what I was taught. Use your head.
Yeah, you see, there's a theme here. There's a theme. The AI is going to be doing all the thinking for everybody.
And then people aren't smart enough to think for themselves. They're just not.
Yep. Fortunately, it's the world we live in.
It's just the world we live in, guys. Sorry.
If all goes well, you should be out of those cuffs in the next, hopefully, 8 to 10 minutes.
Okay, good. All because some that looks like me was sleeping in the casino. It's not me.
Despite Jason's continued protests, Officer Jagger hands him off to the jail staff. Jason's fingerprints were soon submitted for analysis.
Best of luck, man.
Sorry. One count? That's okay.
Yeah, so
That's weird.
It's super weird. So it's one of those ones like I genuinely I kind of believe him.
Yeah.
It wasn't long before the fingerprint analysis conclusively established that Jason had been telling the truth all along, and he was in fact Jason Killinger. Later that same day,
I hope he got to sue the casino.
Around 4 p.m., Jason was released from the jail on his own recognizance. The day after his release on September 18, 2023, he went to renowned urgent care Vista, where he was diagnosed with a strain of both the right and left shoulder and contusions on both wrists.
That's the way to do it. That's how you get the lawsuit going. Good thinking there, Jason.
May 30th, 2025, Jason filed a complaint in federal court against Reno police officer Richard Jagger. While at the jail and after his identity had been confirmed, his arrest papers were changed from John Doe to Jason Killinger. The federal complaint states that this meant Jason would be prosecuted for trespassing, even though Michael had been the only one who was trespassed. According to the complaint, Jason's charge of trespassing was eventually dismissed. However, he now has a criminal record. According to the complaint, facial recognition
it's such a fucking clusterfuck.
Technology has led to wrongful arrests in Louisiana, New Jersey, Maryland, and Texas. Many cities now conclude that for an arrest, there has to be some kind of secondary corroborating evidence that is unrelated.
Anyway, so that's the kind of fucking bullshit. That's the bullshit future you're gonna live in right there. Anyway, guys. Yeah, sorry it's gonna be a short one tonight. Like I said, I'm still fucked up. My fever even came back a little bit today, so I don't know. I don't know. I was feeling better like yesterday. I was convinced. I was like, it's finally gone. It's fine. And I'm not, to be honest, I'm not coughing as much as I thought I was going to. So, but you can probably hear from my voice. I'm still a little chewed up. Anyway, let's take a look at entropy. If it's still working. I'm going to go to double check the old ones here. Hate that I have to do that, but that's what you got to do. Entropy. Entropy. Okay, here we go. All right, what's today? The 14th? All right, here we are. So we got one from, this is why I got to do it. One from O-Phase. O-Phase says, Replay gang, any update on potential stream time changes from last stream? People worried about police overreach or whatever. Police militarization is just a product of our demographic reality. Child beating cunt got what she deserved. Every cop would be like Mr. Rogers if we were 90% white. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is it's we look, it's going to be bad for us too. Like that, I want to underscore, I am not saying, this cop is awesome. He's not awesome. And unfortunately, we have to pay the price for the non-whites making everything more dangerous for them and making them, requiring that we have more thug like policemen. That's just the way that it is. But yeah, it's obviously she's an enemy. And so I'm not sad at all that she got killed. Then we got Simbi. Simbi says, nothing else to say, so here's enough to buy a pound of ground beef. Well, there you go. All right. Well, I appreciate that. Excuse me. Then we got Hammer Thorzine says, Reno PD is a parade of losers. Well, it's funny because there was that show, right? Reno 911 back in the day. That was like the mockumentary style comedy. But it was somewhat funny sometimes. The same Officer Jagger was hit in the knee by another cop's taser, which caused him to accidentally shoot an unarmed suspect. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Sounds like bullshit. He still gotta wait. Hold on. Are you serious? Did that actually happen? Oh my God, it actually happened. Hold on, guys. Good old Officer Jaeger. Officer Jägermeister over here. Let me pop this up. So people know I'm not full of shit here. Yeah. AI enhanced Officer Jaeger. Or Jagger, I guess is how he pronounces it. Let's see here. Let's look at the story. Reno Police Department Officer Richard Jagger, is how he calls it, was cleared of any criminal wrongdoing in the This is before. He did this before this event. 2020 officer-involved shooting. A Reno police officer accidentally shot an unarmed suspect in 2020 when he flinched and pulled the trigger on his service revolver in an inadvertent response to being struck by a taser fired by another officer, a prosecutor said Tuesday. Washoe County District Attorney Chris Hicks cleared the officer of any criminal wrongdoing with the release of a report on the investigation of the non-fatal officer-involved shooting. At least he didn't kill anyone. The neighboring Sparks Police Department led the investigation. The suspect, Christopher Sheehan, well, it doesn't even sound like a black guy. Let's see if we can find a picture of this guy. Is that? No, I can't be him. If this is the guy, we might be able to get body cam footage of the shooting. Hold on a sec. This could be funny. Oh, Officer Yeager, it's just not your day, is it? Why is this not popping up here? What's the name again? Christopher Sheehan. I'm finding all kinds of weird stuff, actually. Apparently there's like some... Oh, you know what? That's because there's... This can't be the same guy, though, right? No, it is. Oh, I've seen... You know, I feel like... I think I've seen this. So there was that... You guys might have seen this before. There was that roided out Navy SEAL guy that was free. That's why they shot him, because he was freaking them the fuck out. Let me see if I can get this downloaded here. I remember that. I think I've seen this video, but I didn't realize these fucking Reno cops. Apparently, Reno 911 was not a mockumentary. It was a documentary. Let's see if this will download. It's getting weirder and harder to download YouTube videos lately. There we go. That's actually working pretty good. I was supposed to have my fast internet, but they fucked up. I'm still on slow internet right now. Well, there we are. So this is, I'm pretty sure, the event. Is this it? No, where the fucking go? Hang on a second, guys. It's finalizing or something. Here we go. Yeah, so you guys might have seen this. I feel like this has popped up in my algorithm before. It's like some Navy SEAL guy like freaking the fuck out. So that's the guy they shot?
The brother of an officer and military veteran.
I'm gonna walk to the hospital with my dog now. Get the fuck out of here. All of you now!
Chris, what is going on today, man?
If I ask you guys nicely, I'm gonna tell you guys right now. Whoever could go toe to toe with me, head to head, push up to push up, let's get it. Going facing the west right here.
You're yoked.
Facing that. I'm not saying I'm yoked.
Chris.
Okay? Back up and stay. Are you scared? You're scared. You're scared. Are you scared or not? Be honest.
I'm not scared of you, dude.
I know you're not scared of me. I'm scared of me. I fear one man. And his name is, do you want to know what his name is? Can I do a push-up? You guys won't shoot me in the back?
I'm not Chris.
You promise me? Listen, I'm a man.
Chris, do you remember me?
I'm a man, right? I'm a man.
Chris, do you remember me? We talked at Sports West.
What's your name?
It's Goodrich.
Goodrich. What's your first name?
It's Elliot.
Elliot what?
Elliot Goodrich.
When's your birthday?
Well, Chris, it's in February.
What's your number of your birthday?
Chris, what's going on tonight?
I'm doing 14.
Chris,
my brother.
This fucking psycho. Where do they shoot him at? Where's the part where they shoot him? Oh, that looks like he's been shot.
Dog! Get the f out of my apartment, you That is my place!
Agreed. Chris, ambulance right there, my friend.
Where's my dog? Where's my dog?
Wait. Did they already shoot him? How did they? I don't see him shooting him anywhere here. Or is this guy just is this like a guy that's been on the cams a bunch of times? Hey, he's not shot there. Well, apparently this is the guy that they shot, so maybe it's not just the cops. This guy's just a fucking psycho. Anyway, all right. It's not just the Reno police. It's just Reno. Reno's a fucking nightmare. Oh man, I'll tell you what. Out of everywhere to live, I've been to Reno a few times. I would never want to live there. All right, then we got a real Ubermensch says, "Hope that guy learned that gambling has consequences. Stay out of Jewish casinos." That is correct. That is correct. All right, then we're gonna go to. Oh, I almost forgot. Love and Division, of course. Love and Division has one on Odyssey. According to AI, I am the smartest, best-looking, wealthiest man in the world. I am also the humblest. Well, you know, it's funny. AI will agree with almost anything you say. If you tell Grok that you are all those things, Grok will agree with you. And I've tried to get Grok to tell me, or ChatGPT for that matter. I've tried to get them to tell me that like my ideas are bad, or that just to like experimenting by telling it really crazy bad shit, and it'll never do it. It'll never disagree with you. All right, now we're gonna go to Rumble. Rumble, we got excuse me. We got Springy 1903. We'll catch the replay. Just wanted to give a dono to say thanks for what you do. One day I will actually be awake for the streams. Anyway, gotta go. And then you say, I can probably hit the button. Let me see here. I gotta look at the list here. I gotta fix all this shit. What is this?
Free at last!
Well, that's not the right one.
Faggot!
Well, that's not the right faggot one. Here it is.
Faggots!
There we go. All right. Then we got Dagtastic says, Devin, did you hear that the ICE abandoned one of their vehicles and lost arrest warrants and the intelligence reports? Talk about incompetence. Yeah, like I said, they're they're not any more competent than the Reno police. I promise you that. In fact, speaking of AI and ICE and competence, there was another story. Let's see here. Where AI fucked up. Here we go. This actually, I was going to cover this and forgot about it. ICE error meant some recruits were sent into the field office without proper training. I mean, not the biggest deal in the world, but this to give you an idea. An AI tool was used to help ICE identify potential new recruits with law enforcement experience, wrongly categorize some potential new officers, sources say. The AI tool used by ICE was tasked with looking for potential applicants with law enforcement experience to be placed into the agency's LEO program, short for law enforcement officer, blah, 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 blah. Applicants without law enforcement backgrounds are required to take 8-week training in person, blah, 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 blah. They were using AI to scan resumes and found a bunch of people who were Leos. Blah, 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 blah. The majority of the new applicants were flagged as law enforcement, blah, 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 blah. So basically, long story short, I mean, they made this really long story for something really short. The short version is they were using AI to read the resumes. And as we all know, AI is wrong all the time. And the AI was supposed to tell the ICE, I guess, who had a, I don't know why they can't just read the resumes themselves, but apparently that's how lazy people are already getting. Their AI is now their human resources department, and it's like, oh yeah, they all used to be cops, even though they weren't, and so they skipped the training. Now that's not, to me, that's not the end of the world. I mean, having had to sit through government training before in my life, I don't really find it particularly useful. So my guess is it probably, wasn't a big deal. But this is the kind of thing that you're going to see over and over and over again as they rely more on AI to do this shit. Then we got Who's Joe? Who's Joe with a big dono? I'll find the big dono thing.
Money is power. Money is the only weapon that the Jew has to defend himself with.
Look how Jewy this fag is. All right, who's Joe? Who's Joe says, hey, Devin, I said some shit about money advice last year. 2 full-time jobs at $20 an hour is $85K to $145K, depending on overtime. 2 full-time jobs at $30 an hour is $120K to $220K, depending on overtime. Invest in real estate after getting high income grinding. Duplexes in the state capitals like Harrisburg are cheap, $260K. Buy one to roll to more investments. You can make six figures passively. Thank you for everything you do. I'm currently working. I work 2 warehouse jobs and make 95 to 130 once I get certifications. $220K. I will invest more into the movement and encourage others to money max. I appreciate that. Who's Joe? You're always a big supporter, and look, it's there are still jobs out there. I think people get frustrated, and I think especially there's a lot of people who they just don't want to do what they consider like blue collar jobs, when increasingly, because of the competency issues that are out there, those are the jobs that might be the ones to get. And as you say, there's some of those jobs you get certifications and you can make a lot of money. And I think that as AI takes over, unfortunately, a lot of these coding jobs and stuff like that, those might just be the jobs that that exist until eventually robots are doing all the warehouse work, right? But that's still a long way off. It's coming. It's coming. Well, I mean, it's already there, like to some extent at Amazon, right? Like Amazon's warehouses are almost, I mean, not all of them, but like there's some of their warehouses are almost entirely automated now. So it's only a matter of time before that technology gets cheaper, and But then according to Elon, that's when everyone we won't need jobs and we'll just get universal basic income, right? But thank you very much, Who's Joe. Sounds like you got your eyes on the prize, and thanks for the support there. Then we got D Mitch. I think D Mitch. Loving the off the cuff stream. You don't always need an elaborate presentation. Something like this is great too. Well, I'm glad you don't mind, because I'll tell you, like when the fever came back, I was like, God damn it. And I can't think like super. It's not like you have to, I don't know. I don't have like the brain to come up with a good stream. Well, hopefully this is at least kind of good, but you know what I mean? Like an in-depth, I can't deep dive. Let me put it that way. I can't sit there and deep dive and go down rabbit holes and then search this and then, find all the, go through newspaper archives. I just can't fucking do that when I feel like shit, And part of it's like my eyes even start to fucking hurt, and I get like headaches, and I don't know what the hell this shit is. I do think it's on the way out. I think it's on the way out. It's just taking a lot longer than I would have ever expected it to. I've been fucking sick now since, I don't know, like over 2 weeks. Let me look at the calendar here. Yeah, like since like almost 3 weeks now at this point. Fuck. I haven't been sick like this in years. I don't know what the hell whatever. This is what I'm telling you, man. Don't fucking get on airplanes. I just got like a big dose of people germs after being, or maybe it just my immune system was asleep at the wheel because I've been out here for so long. And then we got, excuse me, Who's Joe says, hey, Devin, as far as the Jewish fascism, could you please do a stream on Josh Shapiro, current Pennsylvania governor? He did lawsuits against Catholic nuns and state GOP, threw their candidate under the bus. Let me see here. Josh Shapiro, Pennsylvania governor, huh? look here. Is he Republican? No, he's Democrat. Um, I might look into it. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, I'll look into it. No promises. Who's Joe says, name your price for that stream. I'll throw a shit ton at you. Also, it's good for a stream because it shows why fighting against the moderate right is more important because they always betray the right. Well, it says he's a Democrat. And I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't like to give people the impression that you can pay for a topic. Cause I don't want to, I don't want to be influenced like that. But I'll look into the guy and see what you're talking about. I've copied it into my notes here. I got a tab open, and look at the same time. You have been a good support of the stream, and if it's something that's worth talking about, yeah, it's in my notes. I'll take a look at it. All right, thank you very much again. Who's Joe? Then we got Rupert says, replay gang here. Excuse me. See you on Saturday, Professor Stack. Have a good night. Well, I appreciate that. And then we got... No, sorry. The cough thing is starting to kick in. I've been talking too much, apparently. And we got Mechanized Doom says, Devin, a few months ago, I sent you a photo and info about the lytic system that my employer installed in our vehicles. It tracks our biometric data in real time, among other things. Total nightmare. Well, I'm not sure where you would have. I don't think I've seen that. I wonder where you sent that to. Lytic system. Let's see here. It's a San Diego, California-based technology company that designs, manufactures video telematics. Video telematics, huh? It looks like self-driving stuff, right? Contextual. Oh, no. It's spying stuff. Used for commercial and public sector fleets to help improve driver safety. Oh, this sounds fucking nightmare. So it basically just watches you drive, it looks like. Yeah, oh fuck. This is a nightmare. This is like having a robot in your truck with you, staring at you the entire time. Wow, what a fucking dystopian hellscape this is. So check just the description alone. Products include risk detection, fleet tracking, and driver safety programs that use artificial intelligence and analysis to identify risky driving behaviors and report real-time fleet information. The company's clients include waste management, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so it basically just like, I remember being like freaked out when insurance companies started offering a discount if you would put a GPS tracker on your car, and thinking like that was dystopian. This literally is camera. It's like having Hal. It's like having Hal in your cab with you, staring at you, watching you drive, and then tattling on you every time it thinks you did something unsafe. It reminds me of, there was that video on Twitter that went kind of viral a couple weeks ago. There was that truck driver who exceeded her allotted hours that you can drive in a day. I didn't even know this was a thing. So apparently, if you're a truck driver now, they put this software in your truck, and if you have driven too many hours that day, it basically turns your truck off. It makes it so you can only drive like 25 miles an hour and not for very long. Like you have to hurry up and pull over. Like, I wonder if I can find that. I was surprised this was a thing. I guess you can't be like a meth head trucker like the good old days. Can't find it. Yeah, there it was. It was based like a dash cam footage of this trucker driving, and then like this alert goes off that's like you've driven too much today or whatever, and then the governor kicked in, and you could only go like 25 miles an hour. I mean that in and of itself sounds like a it could cause an accident. Yeah, I don't see that. I'm seeing a bunch of other videos about truckers, but not that one. Yeah, that sucks. That sucks. And increasingly, that's going to be every job. I mean, remember a couple years ago they were talking about the eye tracking software that they were going to put on desktop. I don't know if they ever rolled this out, but they were talking about eye tracking software on desktops so that they could basically. So if you were just sitting at your desk, for example, like zoning out, it would know, and it would rat you out to your manager, like, "Oh, Billy in cubicle 593 he's zoning out." You know, so even if you weren't like watching YouTube videos or shopping online or wasting time or whatever, you were just zoning out for a second, it would alert your boss that you were zoning out. Ugh. I just can't. I would never want to. I just couldn't do it anymore. Randall Flagg says another example of the GoFundMe economy was the case of Newton, Massachusetts judge who physically let in illegal immigrants, escape per courtroom. I remember that. She raised $800,000. Ah, damn. I remember that. Yeah, you're talking about the one they tackled in that footage. $800,000. Yeah, where's all this money coming from? It's kind of crazy. Then we got Who's Joe says, my high school friend went to college in Pittsburgh, 5-year CS degree, got a job thanks to his dad making $22 an hour. I make $26 at one warehouse job. Plus, incompetence of management prevents you from getting fired. Yeah, a lot of people that got coding jobs are not doing as well, especially now with all the H-1B visa people. It's not as... It used to be like that was the golden ticket, right? Get a computer science degree, go work at some tech company. You know, all those. What was that movie? The Interns or something like that, where it was like, oh look, go work for Google, and it's basically like a giant playhouse where you just fuck around all day. And to some extent, some of those offices in Silicon Valley were like that. I worked in San Francisco for a little while doing video work for some of these big .coms, and I remember, just as an example, I was at the IGN office. The game bubble, I don't think they're much of a thing now, but they used to be like the gaming news, and their whole office was insane. Like it was just like arcade games and fucking ping pong tables and like a margarita machine. Like it was just like, I didn't know, like, when do these people ever work? Like you go in there and it was just people fucking around. And that wasn't the only office that was like that. That was just probably like the most egregious one. But not anymore. Not anymore. Then we got Art Stanton says, I was just imagining that the mistaken ID case handled by officers Jamal and Shaniqua and how little they'd give a shit about getting it right. There's nothing worse than black NPCs drunk on power. Yeah, that's the thing is, at least with the white guy, or at least he sounds like a white guy, at least with the white cop, he wasn't like, a total raging dickhole about it. You know what I mean? And even towards the end, he was like, I kind of believe this guy, So yeah, if it was Jamal and Shaniqua, they'd be like fucking banging his head on the door as they shoved him into the car and just be a complete asshole to him. Yeah, well, and that's how they're going to be when they're at the DMV and the AI is telling them what to tell you. All right, then we got Who's Joe Again says, what I meant for moderate right, half state GOP endorsed the Democrat Shapiro for governor. He had 26 million compared to the Republican candidate Mastriano's 800K. GOP didn't support because was serious on abortion. Because was serious on abortion? You mean, because the Mastriano guy was... I'll add that to my notes. Doug? Is it Doug Mastriano? Wikipedia calls him far right. All right, well, I got him on my thing. All right. Excuse me. And then we got Who's Joe Again says, last one, if you make 22 or 220K rather, you're in the top 3% of earners nationally. Do you think that's a good strategy? Cheap certifications, multiple jobs, CS jobs CS jobs start 996 jobs. I don't know what that part means. 72-hour a week. Future is work more anyway. I don't know what that last part means, but yeah, like I said, I think that there's money to be made in like not just you don't want to be digging ditches or something like that, but any kind of blue collar work that requires some kind of skill, because robots won't be able to do that stuff for at least a while. And you're going to do better. You'll outperform your brown counterparts. And, whether it's welding, plumbing, electrical work, you can make good money doing that stuff, because a lot of it, especially if you get into like commercial work, right? There's real money in that, because they require real skill, because they don't want, and that's the kind of work that if you don't do it right the first time, it's expensive as fuck to redo it. So they tend to pay people to know what they're doing to get it right. So that's the kind of thing that I think, it's ripe for the picking. You can definitely make a lot of money doing that, but it's not gonna be for everyone. If you are super talented at coding or some a more white collar job, if you've got the skills to do it, and you don't mind the competition that you'll run into and the discrimination you'll run into, and you will, it's not like you can't go be a lawyer, not like you can't go be a doctor, not like you can't go be a even like just like a systems administrator or something. There's other jobs. I think it's not so much like, oh, this is the field that white people should go into. It's more about what do you feel like you can make the most money doing that you won't hate doing? You know what I mean? And that's going to be different for everybody. Everyone's going to have their own strengths. Everyone's going to have their own, I've had so many different jobs. Like, I've done everything, trying to figure out what it was that, I always knew what I wanted to do, but it was also not always the most practical thing to do in terms of getting, it's one thing to be like, I want to work in video and design work. I want to be an artist or whatever, but it's like, you also want to pay your bills. And a lot, especially when you first start out, a lot of that stuff, some of it doesn't pay you at all. Like, they just want you to like, oh, you'll do this for free for your portfolio, and you will do it because you needed something in your portfolio. And in the meantime, you got to pay your bills. So I was working 2 to 3 jobs sometimes, to pay the bills. So there's nothing wrong with the grind, but if I do that forever, I'd fucking kill myself. Do it while you're young. You don't mind as much when you're young. When you're young and by that I mean like, from 18 right around 30 is when you start to not be as young. but it's not like immediate. Like it's like a slow fall off, at 30. Just so try to calculate how that's all going to work out. Get your grind in early. And don't waste your money on going out and drinking and partying like so many people do, including I did a lot of that. All right. Then we got excuse me. Red Hawk 15790 says, fun fact, Newton, Massachusetts is referred to by locals as Jewton because it has one of the highest per capita Jewish populations in the United States. There you go. Fun little fact for everybody. Randall Flagg says, your last stream, Renee Good, has some similarities to Charlie Kirk's shooter. Both grew up in a conservative religious middle class family, but something happened to them and they became shitlib faggots. I think it happens to a lot of kids. I think that's one of the reasons why I think, at least, as someone that grew up Mormon and saw a lot of Mormons go off the rails as the second they got out of their parents' jurisdiction, I think that when you have an environment where there's too many rules and there's too many restrictions and there's not enough parental interaction, or at least not helpful, there's no like mentoring going on. It's more like a employer-employee kind of relationship, which I see a lot, especially, that was kind of the case with my family. The second you get in a situation where you can quit your job as the employee, as the kid, you kind of fucking go, like you go wild because you don't have your boss breathing down your neck anymore. And I saw a lot of people, and to some degree this would describe me too, that the second they were out of the house, the second they were out of, the jurisdiction of their parents, they just went fucking wild. Like they just went fucking completely fucking wild. And some people ended up, reeling it in, figuring it out, not being so wild after a while and not ruining their lives. But some people ruin their fucking lives. And I had friends that like ruined their fucking, like, we're talking like they were totally good students, nothing wrong with them socially. Like they seemed like normal people. They were, in fact, they were very innocent seeming, like they wouldn't even swear. They were at church every Sunday. And then, after high school, like there's this one girl, for example, like after high school, I don't see her for a couple years. And then and this is the kind of girl I never expected I'd ever bump into at a party, right? Like I was partying all the time. And then I met some party where like, there's lots of drugs being used and everyone's hammered, and little fucking Molly Mormon is there. And her life story now is, she's a train wreck. Like she's like a single mom now, and she's out getting fucked up, and it's just like, it's many such cases. And politically, to your point, total fucking lefty, and hated, and not just, she wasn't just rebelling against the rules. Like she just hated, her parents. She hated the church. She hated everything about, like, she was just 180 degrees out of phase from who I remembered when we were like, which wasn't that many years before that, like when we were like 17. That's why, by the way, when that shooting happened and they were like, oh, it's this Mormon guy who's like a furry and shit. I was like, I know people like that. Especially in Utah, especially in Utah, they there's like factories that make these people. In Utah, there is a million guys just like that guy. Well, maybe not a million, but there's a lot. There's like a lot of these guys who grow up in these Mormon households that are very strict, and their parents are very disappointed in them all the time because, maybe they're not, maybe they're a little bit different or whatever, and it turns them into fucking psychos. Like, it turns them into like these weird furry psychos. And I've got some people like that in my family, like extended family. Like, I've got cousins like that, right? Where their dad was super conservative, like a bishop or something, maybe even. And their mom's like going to fucking Relief Society all the time, and their kids are like these blue-haired fucking communists. And yeah, that's what happens sometimes. Iron Pilled says, nothing much to say, just a dono. Well, I appreciate that, Iron Pilled. Thank you very, very much. All right, guys. I think that's it. Let me double check entropy. Oh, we got a couple more here on entropy. Then we're going to shut her down. Sorry, guys. I need to get some more sleep, apparently. Friendly Fash says, have you looked into the massive influx of Jews that came into the U.S. at the fall of the Soviet Union? Turns out thousands were mobbed, mostly settling into Brighton Beach, the greasiest of kikes. The ADL put pressure on authorities, not to mention the crooks were Jews, because it would foster anti-Semitism and led to the Gentile public to protest against the continued influx of migrants. Well, I mean, that's what we saw. I mean, that's the whole meme, right? The Jews who came to this country from Eastern Europe around the turn of the century, right? Yeah, there was a huge flood of them that came in here, and not just in New York, but also Texas. Where's Brighton Beach? Is that in Texas? That's not Texas, is it? That might be Texas, isn't it? I don't even know. Let me look. Brighton Beach. No, that's not Texas. What am I thinking in Texas? Yeah, so Brighton Beach is New York. What? There's a town in Texas that I think has the word beach in it, where a bunch of Jews went to. Okay, yeah, duh. Yeah, Brighton Beach is where they had that's where the Jews had the big conflict with the blacks after they ran some fucking nigglets over. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, yeah, I don't think I've talked specifically about Brighton Beach immigrants, but yeah. Then we have Friendly Fash says the Soviet Union collapsed in the 1990s. Not talking about the early wave. We already are familiar. Oh, you mean how more of them came in the 90s? I guess I never really thought of that. Let me see what did we get here? Okay. According to all right, so according to this, reliably, there's approximately about 330,000 Jews came in from the former Soviet Union between 1989 and 2006. And the peak was, let's see here, 1992, which would be right after the fall of the Soviet Union. 46,000 Jews came here in 1992 alone. You know what's fucked up? It's like Israel is right there. Why did they not go to Israel? Let's see here. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, HIAS, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, helped resettle over 400,000 former Soviet Jews in the U.S. from 1970s. So if you count the 70s on, from the 70s to the 2000s, you're at about 500,000 Jews. In fact, yeah, it says for the entire post 1970 period, the numbers are around 500,000, 500,000, or somewhat less, according to some sources. Blah blah blah. The post 1991 influx formed the largest part of this new wave, significantly shaping Russian-speaking Jewish immigrant communities in places like New York, Los Angeles, and elsewhere. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I haven't looked into that. I don't know why that never crossed my mind. There would have been another wave after the Soviet Union fell down. But it didn't. This is the first time I've really thought about it. That would make sense. That would make sense. That you'd have like a wave of them. Huh. Well, that gives me something to research. That gives me something to look into. I bet a lot of those guys have, I guarantee you there's a lot of Jewish organized crime that like including some of these Russian Jews that we were talking about when we were looking into Trump's background, because a lot of those guys were still active in Russia, and that the time frame's about right. So I bet some of these guys were like involved with Trump's Jewish connections. Okay, well, I'll take a look at that. All right, guys. We're going to, excuse me, shut her down so I can get some sleep. Let me just double check one last time over on Rumble. I think we're good over on Rumble. All right. We'll be back on Saturday. And as far as the time change, someone asked about the time change. I haven't had time to even think about that. I kind of want to just get back in the rhythm again. I feel like I haven't even got back in my living rhythm of just doing the show and everything since December. And so hopefully by Saturday I feel normal. And then we can start talking about when we're going to be doing the Wednesday streams. As of right now, I don't feel strongly one way or the other. But I am going to be on, let's see here. I'm going to be on with Mark Collette at some point. In fact, I need to make sure I didn't actually fuck up that and miss it. Let's see here. Yeah, so I'm going to be on with Mark Collette sometime in the next little bit here. We haven't hammered out the day. And I'm going to be on a couple other streams coming up. And in fact, actually, believe it or not, we were talking about Jake Shields last stream. I need to respond to him. He sent me a DM, I think, earlier today, asking if I was available. So for maybe next month. So we might have that. Anyway, hope you guys have a good rest of your week, or at least till Saturday when we reconvene on the same at the same bat time on the same bat channel. I'm going to go get some rest. So, you guys, yeah, so you can tell my brain's just not working. All right, in the meantime, for Black Pilled, I am, of course, devastating.
I mean, where the fuck should I really even start? I got hoes that I'm keeping in the dark. I got my niggas across the street living large. Thinking back to the fact that they dead, thought my raps wasn't facts, so they sat with the bars. I got 2 phones, one need a charge. Yeah, they twins, I can tell they ass apart. I got big packs coming on the way. I got big stacks coming out to save. Got Lil Max with me, he the wave. It's a big gap between us and the